Hi everyone, my name is Rima, and today I'll be discussing the topic of anti-Black gendered violence and specifically the overturning of Roe v. Wade. And so, a little background on June of 2022, the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade, which was basically a case that legalized abortion for many decades here in the United States. And the now, since the law has been passed, the right to outlaw abortion basically falls under the power of the state. So the states have the power to and the authority to either criminalize and legalize it or legal or make it legal. And so since then, around 12 states have made it illegal to seek or have an abortion regardless of situation, meaning things like rape, health, incest, etc. And so what all this means to Black women or for Black women is the is this idea that the maternal mortality rate is known to be higher among Black women versus other women, right? So basically overturning Roe v. Wade could adhere to the already high numbers of the maternal mortality rate. And it is noted that Black women are 3 times more likely to die from pregnancies in comparison to white women because of this lack of medical care, underlying health conditions, and biases in the health system, which relates back to the high maternal mortality rate among Black women in comparison to others. And so the law would, in return, basically increase the rate of death in pregnancies, not only among women in general, but towards Black women as well, or towards Black women, since they have the higher death rate from pregnancies. And so a little point that we need to focus on is the how things that took place in the past made way for the situations and the problems we have today. And so historically, Black women did not have rights over their womb or over their bodies in general. And so their role in plantations, or especially after the end of the slave trade, the Atlantic slave trade, was to bear children and increase the population for slaves to benefit obviously slave owners. And so this notion became the setting ground for the fixation for slave owners and physicians who experimented on Black women, making way for what we know today as modern gynecology. And so Black women became basically the center of exploitation and therefore were controlled to adhere to the new values of slave societies that required the accessibility of slaves. And so how we can try to combat and abolish anti-Black gendered violence is basically to understand the background and the historical roots the problem stemming from. And the fact that violence against Black women is not something that was created today or yesterday, and instead is something that is stemmed into American history and into American society. A way we can try to combat and abolish anti-Black gendered violence, and specifically in detail to the overturn of Roe v. Wade and in the health system as a whole, is by terminating actually the health system, because our health system today creates or has biases against Black women, like we mentioned in the previous slide, that the maternal mortality rate among Black women, and the reason why there's a higher death rate of pregnancies among Black women in comparison to others is because of the lack of medical care and biases in the health system. And so in order to try to combat and abolish anti-Black gendered violence in the health system is not to necessarily fix it, but to actually try to get rid of it and make way for a new one that adheres to everybody, adheres to all people and all women, regardless of race and regardless of color, especially based on their needs and based on their health concerns. And to basically getting rid of the system that made way for these biases to exist, one will need to create a new one that will have to take its place and adhere to the disproportionalities to the health of all women and the health of people, regardless of race and color, like I said. And I think that's how we can try to combat anti-Black gendered violence in the health system and relating to overturning Roe v. Wade. And yeah, that's literally about it.